Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey,
Welcome to a new episode.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Why don't you introduce us today, Simon? Since you started already.
So yeah, I should introduce everyone. So I think everyone.
No, I mean now we're already in the episode. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So how is everybody?
Very
Racing
good.
around.
You're racing around. I'm on vacation, so I'm really, I'm having a good time. Simon is the only
so
one
in
working.
balance, we're all good.
Yeah. You're racing around, Andreas. Why are you racing around?
Well, I've been really racing around since last week. So first, I was at a conference in Berlin. Then I was getting slowly sick. And kind of try to not get sick and, I don't know, drink lots of tea and do all the things and ginger and shit, and didn't work. So I did get sick. And then, I don't know, I had sniffles and cough and a little bit of fever. And on Sunday morning, fever was gone and I felt okay-ish. And then on Sunday evening, I took a train over to the west of Germany for 3 days of meetings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That I had planned there. And then Wednesday night, I took a train back to Berlin, where I'm now. And today I had something scheduled in the afternoon. And then I thought, that worked out well and it was done pretty early. And so I stopped and met up with a friend. And then I realized and remembered that we had this planned. So I raced back home. And then on the way, another friend texted me, was like, "Hey, I'm in town. Are you in town as well? We should meet up." And turns out that friend is actually leaving tomorrow. So after this, I'm going to try to race back into the city to meet up with him. And so, yeah, I'm racing around for the past 2 weeks, basically. But it's all good. I'm enjoying it, mostly.
So how was your conference? It was the Mittelstands conference, right?
Yes, correct. It was the future day. They call it Zukunftstag, German Mittelstand. So a bit of a lobbying organization, community organization of the German small and medium enterprises. And it was a one-day conference, a couple of talks on stages across kind of a variety of topics. A little bit of politics that were relevant to businesses, a little bit of kind of, since it's a future day, a little bit of AI was there.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually one specifically a speaker who kind of captivated the audience, probably more than most others, who managed to just be very visual in his presentation.
Sasha Lobo.
No. It was actually somebody who was representing a film and marketing studio, and so they were working a lot with AI, and so he used the AI topic to, of course, a little bit showcase their abilities. But it was actually quite interesting. It was kind of pushing the edges of what most people knew, so it was, reasonably new for people. And he was just a good presenter. And then other than that, there was just a variety of kind of service organizations for small and medium enterprises. So there were a bunch of companies who were kind of exhibiting in, for example, digital transformation. Turns out that remains a huge business because apparently there's still too many fax machines and too little email in companies today. I'm being a little facetious.
And how was the atmosphere? Was it optimistic or was it pessimistic? Or
pessimistic would be the opposite of optimistic, but no, I wouldn't say it was pessimistic. I think the atmosphere was generally cautiously optimistic. So as somebody who doesn't live in Germany anymore, I would say it's fair to say that when you come to a conference in Germany, that everybody is complaining about something. There's a lot of general complaints going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, very truthfully, there are a lot of things that could be better, that could work better, that could go faster, that, could have less bureaucratic red tape and all of that. And so there was, of course, a lot of talk about that. At the time when the conference was happening, there was just a day when the future German government coalition was announcing that they had reached an agreement and that they would be announcing later that day kind of more of the details of that agreement. So throughout the day, there was actually a fair amount of buzz and a lot of hope that a number of things that businesses, and especially small and medium businesses, would want might be happening with this new coalition government. And it's such things like, of course, they all want to pay fewer taxes. One big topic that I've heard, I don't know, 5-6 times in coffee lines and all discussed were jumbo depreciation. So usually, investments have to be depreciated over a long term, technology, like 7 to 10 years. And jumbo depreciation allows you to do this over the course of 3 years at a pace of 33% each, which is something that is not currently possible and that many companies were asking for and many politicians were suggesting in order to kind of, drive up innovation and get, some bigger investments going and incentivize that. And in fact, it seems like that might actually be happening in Germany, and that the new coalition is about to propose that. So there was a lot of buzz around that. I think overall, my takeaway was that this was a gathering of companies that actually do business and mean business and have a lot of experience doing day-to-day business. When you compare that to typical startup conferences, there's a lot of talk about, kind of future visions. There's a lot of conversation kind of about what you might call the lifestyle of startup lifestyle, right? But kind of these day-to-day, year-to-year challenges of dealing with payroll, dealing with taxes, dealing with bureaucrats and government okays, I don't know, to build the next logistics building that you need or for your company or stuff like that. That is just something that most startups in their early phases, of course, don't face. And so that's just not on their radar in that sense. And so it's just interesting to see this difference between companies that might nominally be of the same size if you look at their numbers, but who are just in an entirely different stage in their life cycle. So I thought that was interesting.
I think for Germany, because I've been thinking about it a little bit with the, we're being a startup, and then we changed our perspective from thinking like a startup into thinking like a company. Let's put it that way. And I think there's a lot of and you described it really well. So I think the SMEs, they kind of need to adapt that lifestyle and that vision and the very like optimistic projection into the future, what is possible. Because that will all like jumbo depreciation is like it's so technical, and so they all like in the mindset of like, we need a tax break, we need energy prices, and like nobody. So they all talk about like this and this and this needs to change, like bureaucratically, and nobody and rarely you hear something about like real like grand vision of like, let's explore new technologies, let's explore new markets. So it's all around like optimizing the current state. But that is the one thing. And then at the same time, startups kind of need to adapt the mindset of organizations like SMEs, saying like, we need to be profitable, we need to be very strict on budget, and we need to kind of like build a business and not just live from a vision. And then after 5 to 7 years is like, oh yeah, that was a great idea, but it's never going to make any money. So I think bringing those mindsets together could be really great.
I fully agree. Bringing those mindsets together is fantastic. And I spoke to a number of, so there's, of course, at an event like this, there's a fair number of kind of consultants and consultancies, and like I said, service providers in general. And what you did say, this combination of knowing how to run a business, but also having a vision or developing a vision, is something that would behoove many of them, and would actually bring an overall ecosystem really to the forefront. I think it is fair to say that most of the companies that I saw there did not really showcase a vision.
Okay.
They kind of knew the business that they were in. They knew who they were, or they think they know who they are. But they have plenty of customers, but this articulation of a grand vision of something that would motivate and rile up both their internal teams and also turn people's heads and say, oh, maybe I should check out this product, is something that I didn't really see there.
And do you think they have a sense about how AI is changing their market and their way how they work and all the stuff, or do you think they are lost?
Some of them are completely lost. Some of them have a sense that there is something happening, but they're not quite sure yet. I did hear a lot, or I did get a lot of the sense that people were kind of seeking. They were seeking knowledge. They were in a knowledge acquisition mindset. They wanted to learn more. They wanted to learn more about what is possible. Some of them wanted to kind of defensively learn about what is allowed, or what is legal. But there was definite interest. There was definite interest, but I think most people, when you ask them something simple like, "What do you want to use AI for?" or "What are you looking for in AI?" they basically said, "We're not sure yet. We don't know yet. We know there's something there, but we need guidance to make better use of this." In fact, I had one conversation that that allowed me to kind of talk a little bit about Hypecast, and I explained how at Hypecast we've used AI for a long time now, and initially we didn't call it anything. At some point we called it a little bit of automation. At some point we called it AI, but this idea to use machine learning or other similar technology to optimize and automate certain things, like, for example, optimizing the audio of this recording in particular, right, and others. It clearly clicked on a light bulb for this person, and it was something like, oh, you can use AI for stuff like that too. So it wasn't just ChatGPT conversations. It wasn't just creating Muppet pictures of people, right? Not that I'm dissing the Muppet pictures, Max.
Hey, that was a great photo.
It was a great picture.
But we kind of went the wrong way. We should have gone with the.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It will be our episode for our 25th episode, or
the Muppet.
The Muppet, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so basically just giving these people, and I'll wrap it up with this, just giving people this idea that AI can be a little ingredient here and there, that it can be a feature, that it can improve certain other aspects of your work or your product. I think it just requires a lot more conversation and exploration for some folks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're stress testing. I'm in Tunisia right now, visiting the family, and that's a good thing. So I know the hotel director, so I'm in his office right now. In the background, you see the lighthouse from Jerba Island. That's moving up and down, but so network connection, had to switch that. I'm in a remote recording location, not having the super best internet right now. So I'm stress testing for you, Simon, so that we're gonna
Thank
have
you.
a good um you're very welcome. But I think we're falling into the same traps with AI as we did with a lot of different other technologies. We're and that conversation is you have it so many times around a lot of things. So you overestimate what you get done and what is happening within a year or two, but you underestimate what is going to happen within 10 years. So I think everybody's said like, oh, AI is going to change everything, it's going to change everything. Yes, it will, but it will be in the same way as social media, as smartphones and other stuff changed the way we live, but it didn't happen overnight. It was, a gradual movement, right?
Just like any overnight success really takes about 7 to 8 years,
Exactly. So that's the kind of thing. And I think we're falling into the same traps again with AI, and we had it and then you have the experts showing you the grand vision and makes it so big, and you have to have your own GPTs and all that kind of stuff. And what is actually going to happen, and I think what I've seen is where AI just becomes a companion and just helping you with little things on a day-to-day basis, like improving code, fixing bugs, improving audio quality, helping you write an email. So like basic functionalities, very simple, where it's like direct effects on your day-to-day life, instead of like where people think of like, oh yeah, AI is going to change everything, and we're thinking about robots, and we're thinking about like automations and all that kind of stuff, where it's like usually the things that are happening are very small and very subtle, I would say. And
Yes, but so earlier this week, I was in Bochum at a company called 9 Elements, friends of ours who have helped us with Hypecast as well. And they showed me a project that they had done for basically training an AI chatbot on the contents of a specific part of a website, of a governmental website. This was for the city government, and they have a small team. As it goes, the city has a small team. They get inundated with a lot of questions. There's a lot of information that they get asked that is already available on the website, but people are not finding it. And now you could argue that you just need to improve the UX and the UI of the website and all of that, and that may be true, but the reality also is that people don't really know what they're searching for. They just have questions.
Exactly.
And so by training this AI chatbot on all the information, all the very specific domain and regional specific information that is available on that website, and perhaps some extra that the team at the city government had extra, they made it so that somebody who's seeking help can interact with a chatbot in a much more meaningful way and either get a bunch of answers already or get more specific guidance where to look for next steps or what to do next, or frankly have a much more qualified conversation with that team at the city government then, with some more background information. And ultimately, it leads to a better user experience.
Yep.
And it leads to improvement in the employee's life, because they're spending a lot less time on repetitive, boring, not non-essential tasks, but tasks that shouldn't be essential, right? Because they should be
exactly
automated. And that worked really well. And that was a really nice example. Very subtle, very low key in a way, but yeah.
There's a ton of examples. So like, again, I traveled to Tunisia a couple of days ago. Until the end of December last year, you were able to travel with your ID card. If you book like an all-inclusive kind of like hotel and flight and everything, you could use your ID card to enter Tunisia.
Your
That's
German
changed
or
now, so you need
European ID card.
Yeah, exactly. Now you need a passport again. That information, I stumble upon it by accident because I was looking for another information on hotel transfer, which I didn't book, and I only because of the question of, do you have hotel transport? And I'm like, I think so. I looked it up. I didn't have it, which is something, and it was like somewhere sort of hidden, not super obvious, where it's like, this is like, there's a few items on your itinerary when traveling that are very, very important to make your travel go smoothly. And that is like hotel transfer. If you haven't covered that, it'll say you're going to be struggling with, taxis, all that kind of stuff, blah, blah. Same with not traveling with a passport, which was, I stumbled upon that information because I was just reading about some stuff. And then I read that, and it was also very confusing. We had one guy at the airport that didn't know that, who wasn't able to fly then. So we had a delay in the flight because they had to get his suitcase out. So it wasn't just him not knowing it. It was like,
but I'm sorry.
Like, he was
I'm
only
sorry. How
stopped
did the
back.
sorry?
Like,
How did the airline
you're right.
not catch that? How did the airline take the damn suitcase and not ask him to show his passport at that moment where he dropped off the suitcase? What the hell?
Because they probably didn't know, and it's not like, in the end, it's customs, right? It's customs. It's not him.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, an aircraft and an airline,
Well,
a carrier,
I know,
a mainline
but
carrier, even a charter flight.
well, yep, you're right. And so in the end, it's not just for customer convenience.
Yes.
It is also for like delay in flights, because we have to get one suitcase out. So the flight was, delayed a little bit. And there's a ton of those things that you can improve, where it's like, you can just say like, oh, those are things that people should know. So we're going to send you like automated SMS or something like that, or iMessage or WhatsApp messages. Say like, hey, your flight, like your like the vacation you booked doesn't have that kind of, like, you don't have hotel, transport, or there's a change in, like what document you need to have for travel. So those could have been things that could have been avoided, where that information is available, but maybe not like super like outgoing and direct at the customer to understand what is happening, and training materials like, hey, have you read this? So this one information should be top of mind, because this is one thing that's changed now, and you should, for the first 3 months, really tell everybody and anyone that this is changing. So this can really improve a few things on a lot of ways. So I think it can help with customer satisfaction. It can help with moving your operations smoothly and quickly and efficiently forward. Yeah, that's kind of like my take on it, where AI can be really helpful. But again, I don't want to have too many conversations about AI. I don't see, with with logging back in, what minute are we at right now? 15,
25.
20? Where are we at?
25.
25.
25. Okay. So we don't have time because next week I want to talk to you about like your personal mottos. I wanted to do that this week, but we have to do it next week. Personal mottos and kind of like guiding principles of your business life that have helped you, move forward, develop as a human being. That's what I wanted to talk to you about next week. So this week is another AI episode, I guess, but like more
We can
on
change.
a,
We
more
can
on
change
a,
topic. I also had a topic in mind, but it's a very different topic to AI.
That's
But
good.
So what did you have in mind?
so I would say the where sports meets business, for example, or where also branding meets sports, and where branding meets sports. Because so I was quite looking forward to last Sunday, because last Sunday there was an race. I don't know the English phrase about or term for that. It was a bicycle race. Is it bicycle racing?
What cycle race?
Cycling,
like street cycling, like
yeah. So it was Paris-Roubaix, and it's I think in the cycling world it's quite famous, and it's one of 5 monuments of cycling, and and so
I didn't know that you were a cycling fan on top of everything else too.
It's really a topic that I don't understand.
I knew that Max was reacting like this, but I have so I was fascinating about
do
the 5 monuments.
do the episode when I'm out sick.
Wait a minute. I was fascinated about the branding of the 5 monuments of cycling, because there are 5 races that are more older than 100 years, I think. So it is Paris-Roubaix, and there are a few others. And I was really wondering, wow, that's such kind of race has such a huge branding, or such an intense branding, that it's that everything in the sports cycling's around this kind of events. Or so there was another event happening last Sunday. It was in golf. It was the golf tournament Augusta, and I think it's also
The Masters.
Augusta,
the Masters,
Masters.
Also something.
And Rory finally won.
Huh?
Rory McIlroy finally won.
Finally won, right? Yeah, and there are a lot of other. So there are in horse racing, there are the Triple Crown I think in the US, right? And so I think that's really fascinating me. So that such kind of events. So they have such a strong branding, so that they can change also the sports history.
That needs to be a separate episode. Because that's an episode on branding, and I totally agree on the branding aspect of it. I think like that. We won't have time to do it in we don't have time to do that in 5 minutes now.
We couldn't do it justice in 5 minutes. That's the point.
No, but I think there's a few interesting points in that, and I like it because I was reading this interesting, and that's the thing that we can maybe wrap up with, because it's like the little things, right? To me today, it was about like small things that can have a strong impact, like how AI can be a small thing and not just a big thing, but a small thing that can really improve your day-to-day life. And one thing that I kind of figured out for me is another small thing. It's AI related, because I kind of taught my Instagram algorithm, because I spent more time on Instagram now trying to use it for my personal branding and business purposes. And what that and also for what I personally like. So it's more personality, but also related to business, since I'm a founder and my life just revolves around my business and it's very much connected, I would say.
And your kids, they might be listening. Remember to say that.
Of course, no, but
and your wife,
of course, it's like yes, it's of course that is the family side, but then me as a person, of course, it's the family side, but then my personality and my personal my personality and my person is also very much connected to the business that I'm in, right? And the interest that I have, so it's very much connected and intertwined. So I kind of taught my algorithm, my Instagram algorithm, to give me a lot of like funny stuff that I enjoy, and it's some stuff around like, startup life, business life, software development life, which I think is super funny, and I like it. And the other thing is I follow a few people, because I'm very much interested in SEO right now. So I found this guy, and now I'm getting more content on SEO and this quick tips and learning stuff. And there was another thing, and now that was a very long wind up to a person that I found on Instagram that does a lot of around like branding, and she was kind of like showing off what branding is and what a brand is and what a brand is not, and we can talk about that. And so I was really fascinated by that, and so I love to talk about the whole branding thing and how branding comes about. So that is a lot of fun. But I think you have the great chance, and I think it works much better on Instagram than it does on LinkedIn, to optimize your feed and your algorithm to really give you entertaining but also educational content on what you are interested in your business life. And that was kind of like my learning, and
But how do you do it?
and Instagram became
I want to know it because I told before, I think also in an episode, right? My Instagram Instagram feed is super messed up, or it's not
Is it
it's not my
still? Are you still
yeah.
getting weird and strange
Okay.
and
Right now
questionable things?
it looks a bit better, but it's a search, right? So if you click on the search, then so now
it's
it's
just no,
okay.
it's also like the stuff that you like. It's the thing. So like how long you stay in a video. So like if you
If you
get to
actually
one
listen to
video and
something,
you
if you
kind of
interact with it, all those
exactly,
signals, you know?
if you interact with it,
Yeah.
that will really help. It's not just the search. It's for me, it's more the interactions, the stuff that I share, the stuff that I leave a like on, the view time that I spend with that content. That's kind of like really quickly building your algorithm on the content that you're interested in. And that was like where I felt like, oh, Instagram is just, very like a discovery platform. It's becoming more fun now. I think it is more helpful now, and it's really like it can really help you showcase what you do. And that was quite an interesting learning, and it's also a little like a small little hack to really enjoy social media more, and instead of just saying like social media is all bad and we're all going to be very dumb and stupid, and social media is going to kill us as a society.
It is not. It is not. That is what AI is going to do. But speaking of AI, so um, Simon, you said you had, you had another topic in mind, and it's not AI, but earlier on already. So I would say we'll add a rule here to our little group. That is, if we kind of slide into AI conversations without having actually agreed on making AI the topic of the day, somebody else has to jump in and say, time out, we're going to talk about something else. Like, for example,
Yeah,
right.
the 5 monuments.
Branding in sports.
Or
And what was your topic
branding in
again?
sports or super sticky.
Mayhem Masterplans?
It was what no,
Motto,
it
our
was
motto,
around
right? Yeah.
Oh,
your personal mottos and your personal kind of like learnings that help you drive your like that help shape your personality in business.
All right.
next time.
I don't know. I'm
Next
gonna
time.
figure it
So
out.
now we have master
Let's do the
plans
brand. Let's do the
for next
branding.
time.
Let's do the branding one first, and then I'm gonna find the one because it's very much on personal development. I like the topic, but then it can also get really frustrating if you get too much into the whole topic of like personal development and the Tony Robbins side of it, right?
Well,
Then I'm just
I mean,
that's not my
I'm
cup of
sure
tea,
we
but
can keep each other from kind of going down that rabbit hole as well. Now, what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really,
please.
really super curious about is, Max, since you dropped off once or twice in the middle of the recording. Now, when we're going to close the recording, is your audio track going to upload?
No.
Is this going to work? Are we going to be able to actually put out this episode?
Yes.
Or do we have to re-record the entire thing?
No.
Mayhem? Masterplans?
Yes.
Who knows?
I have the master plan, so I will
and
I will I will download the cloud recording, so we have everything in the cloud recorded. That's really
and
yeah.
I want to add to that. Sorry for interrupting. I think that's exactly what we aim for, right? The recording session is such a crucial point in time, and to give our listeners a bit of context why we're doing this podcast as well is first of all, we like the conversations. We want to give some insights into what kind of drives us, what are the things that we think about on a day-to-day basis as human beings and as founders and business people in an international environment, having a view on Europe and the US and all that. But also we're doing everything in our own products, so we're kind of tasting our own medicine, and that is another thing. So we're creating environments by default, by accident or on purpose, whichever way, to stress test our own products. And today I'm so happy that we have this situation and we don't have to worry, and it's super stress free. And that's the kind of thing that we're aiming for with our customers, right? Building a product that that you don't have to worry about, where a product and a software tool becomes, in my opinion, a software product should always be something that you never think about.
Yeah.
That it just serves a purpose, and it's so moved into the background that it's not, that it's just something that works, that you don't think about, that you forget about, and it just becomes, a task. And
I would raise you one.
And it's the same with AI, right?
I would raise you one. Yes, a software product should be at its baseline level something that you forget about and don't think about. But ideally, it's something that when you think about it will make you smile.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think we covered the first stage. I think we need to work on the second part, and we're doing it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm happy about.
I'm quite confident that AI will do the job.
All right, enough.
Simon is already recording this, so whenever the AI overlords are gonna, scan through everybody's, social media, through everybody's recordings, Andreas, you're gonna be you're gonna be in a ton of trouble. You're toast. Simon's gonna be there, like, he's gonna be like governing some region of human society. I don't know. I'm just gonna be the clown and entertain a few people, I guess. I don't know. Andreas, you're gonna be toast. Oh yeah. All right.
So your last words,
Simon. Close off the episode.
Yes, I think we should name our last recently played songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, who wants to go first?
Andreas, please go first.
The last song that I heard was The Four Horsemen by Metallica, because I was at an event earlier today where my friend Noelle was recording that, and so I kept hearing it.
Very good.
All right, and I listened to The Offspring, Gone Away.
Very good.
Classic.
So I have to apologize. My recently played song was in the car with the kids. Rolf Zukowski, jetzt kommt die Osterzeit.
Awesome.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Sorry for that. But
is he the German Leonard Cohen, right?
I don't know. All right, then. See you next time.
Yes.
Have
very
fun
soon.
in Tunisia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye-bye.